Hello everybody. We are going to start working on the fourth snowman plate in our collection. Every year we do a snowman plate, the same size plate. This will be our fourth year doing it. It's a new design. It's also a snowman. I'm not sure this is going to be the last in the snowman line, but this is what we have for this year. I know some people don't like lettering, so I found another option to kind of make it a little bit easier. When you get your kits, we're going to have all the paints that we do in this particular lesson. The blue that you see here is actually a sticker that is stuck down. What that is going to do, it's going to mask off the area that the words are going to be. So when you paint over them and you let the paint dry, when you pull it up, your letters are going to be white and you don't even have to do lettering. That part of it will be done. So the colors we're using this year, in the past we've done pottery glazes, stroke and coats, all different things. This year most of our colors are going to be speckled. Our background is going to be the speckled blue that I like so much. It's kind of deceptive. It looks like it's a medium blue, but when it's fired, it is a really deep, deep, dark night blue with little white specks. So that is what our background is going to be. Each kit is going to come with the paints, the brushes, the instructions, a link to this video, and it's going to have a sheet, which is like a diagram you can follow that tells you what color goes where. Our background is going to be the speckled blue. We're only going to work on the front in this lesson, but when you're all done, completely done, if you choose to do the back, the speckled blue, you can do that as well. But for right now, we're only going to work on the front. So we're going to start with doing 3 coats of speckled blue. You want to just kind of push down on your sticker, make sure everything is stuck down, and you're going to paint right over that sticker. Now because it's plastic, it's going to repel the paint, and you want it to because you want to be able to see where the sticker is going to be so you can actually pull it off at the end. We also did a sticker of the star. That will make it a little bit easier when you have to fill in the star. You'll have the little perfect points already there when we take the sticker up. So speckles are one of the paints. It's really important to do 3 coats. I always stress 3 coats, but if you don't, I mean, it might look like a watercolor. But to get the full effect of the speckles, you really need to do 3 coats. So we are going to do 3 coats of blue over the letters and right up to the snowman hat. And then after we get that first coat done, we're going to let it dry and we're going to go on and do the second and the third. So we'll do this first one real quick. I'll show you how and where it's going to be, and then after that we'll take a pause and I'll come back once I have the 3 coats done. Okay, so we have finished the 3 coats on the back. Like I said, we've still not done the background, and that's okay. You can see a little bit of the words where the paint doesn't stick to it, and that's what we want. Paint has dried most of the way. It's still a little damp, but this is the best time to take the stickers off. So I'm going to include like a little pin in your kit. And what you want to do before everything is dried completely, just be very careful. You're going to stab each sticker and just take it off. And throw it away. You're done with that for now. And go along and just do each word. Just use the pen to get it started, then you can pick it up the rest of the way with your nails. Now if it's an eye, like the eye in Magic, don't forget that there is a little dot up there. And we're doing this now because if you bring it back without taking off the sticker, it is very hard to get these back off. So if you can do it after you get your base coat done and your base coat is dried, that's probably about the easiest way to do it. Now by doing this, like I said, you're not going to have to do any lettering at all. Your lettering part is done with this step. So we're going to get the dot on the I and the N. Okay, and then we go, the last word is believe, which is a lot of little letters. Just stab somewhere on the sticker. You don't want to stab the paint around it because the pen will lift up your paint. So just stab the sticker to get it started. Isn't that neat? The lettering would normally, some people would think would be the hardest part, but you've already got that part done. So the rest of it is like easy. Okay, so we're going to go back to our chart, and it tells us what color goes where. The SP274 is our speckled red. The 2412 is a speckled, it's white, but it's got blue speckles in it, but it has the tiniest little red speckles too. They're hard to see, but I think it would kind of all go well with this red, white, and blue kind of thing. So it's kind of alternates stripes, so pay attention to where you're going to start. It's kind of important you want to start with the red one here. You don't want white up against white because it'll blend in with your snowman too much. So start with your red and then alternate stripes. So right up against the snowman, this one is the red. And for the speckled, just like with everything else, we want to do 3 coats. So I would go along and I would do all of my red 1 coat. By that time, the first coat of red is dry, you can do the second and just work your way like that until you get all of your reds done. Now where it is outlined in the marker, your marker is going to disappear. But because it's going to disappear, you want to make sure to cover it up with one or the other of the colors. So we have the little swirl there, like the little detail. We're going to cover that right up too. We can add that at the end as a detail. And you'll have your tracing to kind of use as your guide when it does come time to add any of the detail back in. It's a really easy project. I like that most of the colors are red, white, and blue. I just think that's kind of neat. It is speckled, which a lot of people love our speckled paint, so this gives you a chance to do something in the speckled. No lettering needed, so that's a win too. When you're doing your red, paint it right up to that next color. We will have these available on our online store. And when you do get that pottery to go, so that you can do this at home, you can get multiple sets if you wanted to do it with some of your friends. Each one would get their own kit. It would have the tracing, the pen to pull off the sticker. The plate will already have your design detailed on it. You'll have the instruction just so you'll have like a guide to follow. You can go back and watch this video, or if you've watched it already, you can just, if you're doing it with your friends, you can tell them step by step. It's pretty much following the paint by number chart that you've got. 3 coats is key, so you're going to see that everything is going to be 3 coats. And starting out, like I said, we haven't done the back. It's kind of nice not to have to worry about the back scratching off at the beginning, so we're just kind of getting the front part done. Once everything has had a chance to dry on the front, then it's just a matter of flipping over the back and doing your blue if you want to do blue on the back. You don't have to. This plate will be clear coated, so it will be food safe front and back, even if you don't paint the back. But some people, they do like to carry the color that's on the front around to the back. If you choose to do that, Be careful when you're bringing up the blue from the back that you don't come up too far into the snowman face. You just want it to come up to where this and then stop right at the underside. That'd really be the only thing to watch if you do paint the back in the speckled blue. Our snowman classes are pretty successful. People seem to like the whole snowman plate class. This is a really good sized plate. It's good for cookies, or it's not oversized. You can get a little plate stand and just display it every year. If you've done the past years, right now you would have, when this is done, you'll have a set of four different snowmen, 4 different techniques. So that's kind of neat too. Now, as with anything, if you need a finer brush to paint with, use a finer brush. If you're happy with a bigger brush, use that. Use whatever works best for you. I kind of flip-flopping back between the smaller brush if it's a small area. If I've got a big area to cover, I'll use a bigger brush, but that's up to you. So I'm just going back doing third and final coat of red. Now the speckled is pretty too. This speckled red is a deep, like Christmassy red with little white dots, where your background is like a really midnight blue with little white dots. So it all kind of goes together really well. Your snowman himself, his face will not be speckled. He'll be just a pure white. Okay, so we've got that done. We're going to let the red dry before we try to fill in the spots between them. So we will go on and do the 3 coats of the snowman face. Now if I did trace on the eyes or the mouth, ignore it. I might not have, because I knew we were going to cover it up, but if I do, just paint right over that. So for the white, we're going to want to do 3 coats on his face. And again, you want your white to come right up to where that red is. You don't want to see any of this marker when you're done. So this is our first coat of white. White is also number 16. Now white is one of the things, since the bisque is already white, if you just want to do 2 coats of white, that is enough, because we're really just doing it to give it a brighter white than what the bisque is. Since the bisque is like not as pure white, it's more of a slightly off-white color. By doing the 2 coats of pure white, it's going to whiten it up. Now your letters, since we're not painting them, they're going to be really close to the bright white, because our bisque is pretty white. So we don't need to do anything else with those to whiten them up or anything. They're fine just the way they are. So we got 2 coats of white. And I think it's good enough we can go back and do our white stripes that have the speckles in it. So that would be our 2412. So again, we're going to cover up that little detail if I had traced it. We'll add that back in later. Just don't even worry about it. Now you'll notice You don't see the speckles in the red so much, and you probably don't see it in the blue very much. But this one, you'll notice as you paint it, the speckles are a lot more obvious. I don't know if it's because it's a white paint with colored speckles in it, but you'll notice it more so with this. But even though it looks like a lot of speckles in the single coat, you still want to build it up to 3 coats. And again, it is white, so if you think 2 coats is enough for you, 2 coats will probably be a plenty too, since this is so heavily speckled. So I'd say for the 2412 stripes, do 2 to 3 coats. So we got our first coat. We're going to go back and do our second. I think for the speckled whites, for this sample, I'm only going to do 2 coats. Like I said, you're welcome to do 3 if you want even more specks in it. Okay, so we've got the white, the stripes. Pretty much we're just down to doing the nose. The nose is 75. So we're going to do 3 coats of that. And again, we want to make sure we cover up the marker. So you want to paint right up to where you finish painting the white on the snowman head. Okay, don't worry if you can't get a crisp point to the end of the nose, because we can kind of clean that up with the outlining. So you can see just how fast this paint dries. It's crazy fast. So this is the second coat of the orange. I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to go in and do the star, which is our last color before the detail. And we still have to come back and do one more coat on the nose. Now, when you pull these off, you see a little bit of the flaked blue inside. Don't even try to worry about it right now, because we want to let it dry completely. After it's dried, we can kind of flick that out of the way. But for right now, looking at the star, it looks like I had just a little bit of blue. So I'm kind of scratching that away. I'm going to go in and fill the star in with 3 coats of, well, I'm going to say 2 heavy coats of yellow, because you're really going to be plopping it in. Where you pull up the sticker, it kind of leaves a little divot cut out of the paint, so it gives you a really good place to fill in with paint. We're really plopping it on, putting it on heavy, because we're not going to do 3 coats, we're only going to do the 2. Just of the yellow. You'll notice when you do something really small like this, a single coat puts a lot more on than if you're going over a big area. So we have 2 coats of yellow on the star. Now we are going to go back in and do the last coat on the orange. Okay. Last step is the outlining. This doesn't have a lot of outlining to do, so it won't be really hard. I'm not going to even outline the star. The blue is going to be so dark, it's going to create a really crisp line around that star, so it doesn't need any outlining. But for the rest of it, just to kind of clean it up a little bit, I'm going to outline the hat, and then we're going to add the details of the face and the details on the nose. So I'm starting with the top down because the orange is still a little bit wet. So follow your guide. You can see we have this little bit of detail that goes inside of that first band of white. So you can kind of see it starts here. And just bring it in. And then we see, let's see, we've got that one. And then on this big circle here, or the big band of red, it starts right at the tip. And we just bring that in a little bit too. It doesn't have to match exactly, just close. And then the rest of it is just outlining what we've already got painted. Outlining is one of those things, you either love it or hate it. If you're normally scared to do it, just give it a try. The more you do it, the easier it gets. And if you absolutely decide you just cannot do the outlining and you don't even want to try, when you return this to me, just let me know you want me to do it, and I don't know, just include a couple dollars or something, and I'll do it for you. Now after we get all the outlining done, you can do the back, the 3 coats of the blue. And the blue color again is your SP212. So just outlining every stripe. And I dip it into the black each time before I do, just to get a lot of paint on there. And it's okay, the black gets a little fat. I mean, I think it looks good like that, but I mean, it's up to you. So it's certainly not a thin line. But especially along the outside where your background is so dark, you're hardly going to be able to tell along this edge what's black and what's dark blue. Again, just outlining the hat. Okay, and just finishing up the stripes. And just have fun with it. I think this is just another one of those fun kind of things. You don't really have to focus on it too much. Just following the numbers. Let's see. So we got the hat done, so I'm just kind of rotating it around so now we can work on the head. You can see where we did the white, we've covered up everything that was drawn in for where the eyes would be. So kind of look at your tracing. You see where the nose ends. It looks like the eyes are right about here. It does not have to be exact. You don't even have to do these kind of eyes. If you want to do something different, go ahead. It's yours. Do it any way you want. And then the eyebrows, you kind of slant a little bit. Now for the mouth, I did dots. If you would rather do like a dash and do a smiley face, you can do that as well. If you do decide to do the dots, I'll show you. That's how I'm going to do mine. There's an easy way to do that as well. So we're just finishing up outlining the nose. Almost done. I think this is probably one of our quickest snowman plates. Okay, and just go back and we just have dashes, just alternating on each side of the carrot. I'm not even matching the pattern exactly. Okay, so we have that done. Now to do the mouth, find one of your brushes that has a round end. You don't want anything with a chiseled end, just a point like that. Whatever size point is the size your dots are going to be. If you want a bigger, if you have a bigger end, you can do that. I'm going to go with the smaller. So start right underneath the nose there and just dip every single time and dot. And just form a little smiley face made out of dots. And that's it. Like I said, let the front dry completely. If you choose to want to put your initials, even though this looks fairly light blue now, try to do your initials in white, maybe 2 coats of white. If you did it in black, the black is going to blend right into the blue background, so avoid the darker color. So you could do your initials in probably the white or the yellow would be best. After this is completely dry, if you want the back to be the same color as the background, flip it over, paint 3 coats of the SP212 on the back, and make sure you come right up to the edge everywhere except where his face is right here. And then that is it. Just let it dry completely, return it to me, and I will fire it.